at the agenda today. So first of all, I would discuss about the React.js and introduce about React.js, and then I will move on to a virtual DOM and real DOM comparison in a practical manner. And then before moving into React hooks, it's much essential you all guys to know about the lifecycle hooks and the class-based component approach in React.js. And then I have some practicals for the lifecycle hooks as well. And then finally, we'll discuss about the basics things and theoretical parts as well as and how the lifecycle hooks has been replaced by React hooks. And then you will be able to then finally we'll have the Q&A session, and I have added repositories link in the chat already. So if you need, you can clone that project and do it with me, and then it will be easy for to understand the practicals. So what is React.js? React.js is a JavaScript library which was created by Facebook in the year 2013, and it's not a framework, and it has three main conceptions, which is virtual DOM and unidirectional flow and the server-side rendering. And these three conceptions make much efficient of this library over the other frameworks and libraries which used to implement the user interface search which runs on browsers. And it has a component-based approach, which is you could be able to create your complex business application in rather simpler way by using simpler components, and you can use the same components in anywhere in your application. So that's in a brief about the uh, React.js, and we'll discuss some thing regarding the virtual DOM, unidirectional flow, and the server-side rendering next. So the unidirectional flow, it's one of the main concepts. So where the data is flowing from top to bottom, from parent component to a child component, and there you can use callbacks whenever you need to call the functions in parent component from child components as well. So that's in a very brief manner how the unidirectional flow works. And so the next part is the before knowing the server-side rendering and the efficiency that got from the React.js, it's better to know about the client-side rendering. So whenever you send a request to a server and you get your response, so from in the client side, this is how it will load in. So initially it gets the response to the browser, and it will download the JavaScript and executes React.js in your client side, and finally it will be viewable and interactable. But when compared to the CSR or the client side rendering, so server side rendering means far much better and fast way to use your browsers in a more interactable and viewable way. So initially you will get the response as a ready rendered HTML response to the browser, and it will download the JavaScript, and from the second step it will be viewable after the execution of React in the browser. Then it will be interactable also. So that's about SSR or server-side rendering. So yeah, now we'll move to the virtual DOM concept. So virtual DOM concept is a concept where you don't update your DOM uh, you don't update your DOM in each and every action you perform to the DOM. So actually the word DOM, if you are not familiar with the DOM, so DOM means the abbreviation for document object model, and in your browser you will be able to find your components or the objects in your business application in an object oriented way. And whenever you need to change your uh, component there, so this virtual DOM concept is much essential, because in real DOM, so it will take much time to perform the changes into your real DOM. But the virtual DOM concept is a concept where you will find exactly an identical copy of your real DOM, and it will compare the new state of your real DOM using the virtual DOM, and it will compare the previous state using the virtual DOM, and it will compute the diff, only the diff part, and then it will execute the diff to your real DOM. So that's briefly about the virtual DOM and real DOM comparison. So we'll move to the practical to prove this. Here I have created my project using Create React app in Facebook official site. It's recommended to use this Create React app. So there's a repository called Create React app. This is a module that you can use, and there's a README file. I recommend you to go through this and read to understand about the NPM and yarn and the other things. So I'm not going to discuss about those now, but instead, so I just want to tell you that I use the Create React app for this project. And yeah, I have, so here I have created a simple component which has the real time showing in the UI. So in each and every 2 seconds, this function will be called using this set interval method, and this render function is a function that got from React DOM package, and it will deploy our component to the index.html file. This is the file that will render to our real DOM, and it has an ID called root here. So in the React applications, normally what happened is these are single page applications. So you will have a single HTML file, and the components you created will be deployed to this ID root using this function render DOM. And let's see how this works. So as per my explanation, so this clock will be changed, and it will call in each and every 2 seconds. So you can see, so I have ticked this pane flashing, so it shows the areas where the browser tends to change. And so you can see in the React application, only this place has been changed, and there's another file which I created, HTML file using pure JavaScript. The same component I created using pure JavaScript. So this same function will be called in each and every 2 seconds, and will be deployed, rendered to this ID root. And yeah, let's see. I will use pane flashing here also. So can you see that in pure JavaScript it will change all the component, but in the React.js application it will change only the place where the clock changes. So because clock is changing with the time, so that's why what I wanted to show you on the real DOM. And let's move to the next. So the next part is the lifecycle hooks. So in the class-based components, there you will be find the lifecycle hooks, and so let me explain in a real world scenario initially. So let's assume that a child will be born to the world, and he will register a name, and then with time the child will grow up, and sometime as a person. So one day the child will die and diminish from the world. So likewise, so components also like that. So there will be mounting time, and the component will be subjected to any updations if there, and finally it will be removed from the real DOM. So these three phases could be considered as the phases. And in the class-based components, there you will be find several type of functions and the things that you could do inside those functions. So initially this within this render phase, all these will be handled by React, and so this is called free commit phase. So only this function, so get snapshot before update function is inside this. So it's on the mounting phase, and you can run your side effects and schedule updates in this phase, where in the three mounting, updating, and unmounting phases. So I will discuss the three phases one by one now, and let's move to the. So mounting means putting elements into the DOM. I have already explained that. And the commit phase and the render phase means in the render phase, this is automatically handled by React, and the commit phase, you can run your HTTP calls and the updates as well. So this is the order. So it will called in the order like constructor, then the get derived state from props function and the render function, and this function is required, and it will be always called in whenever you perform your updating, or whenever you mount in your component. And this function, the component did mount, it will be called right after the initial rendering of your component to the real DOM. It will be called only once, and let's see it in the practical. Initially, I will request this, and can you see this? I have added console logs inside all of my methods. I have added all the lifecycle methods inside this class. So what the constructor class doing here is it's where it's the function which will be called before everything else, and you can define your states here within the class component, and also you can inherit the props from the component class as well. And the function here, so it defined as static because to avoid the unnecessary renderings here. So, and every time this function must return either a null value or any state object. So you could update your states here if you need. And the third function will be rendering part. Here, this is the JavaScript XML code which we write as the component using your custom components or the predefined tags. And the component did mount function, this will be called right after your first mounting of the component to the DOM. So, and also I have included another class called child, and it will be rendered here. So it also has the same things defined like in the parent class, the other methods. So we'll see how the console log has been occurred. So can you see that? So initially this constructor, then respectively these things happen, and here you can see my child class has started its life cycle methods, and it finishes here in the component did mount. So that means this is the time where the initialization of both the parent and child class happened, and finally the parent did compound function has been called. So if you have any single or multiple number of child components inside your class, definitely your parent class components lifecycle methods will be finished only if the single or multiple number of children components life cycles finish. So that's why this parent component did mount function called right after this child component updated to the real DOM. And then I will show so I mentioned you that did you all get what I told? Hello?
Hello, if we can have some feedback regarding what Nalin was explaining.
Any unclear things before moving to the next?
I think that was good.
Okay. Then I have set my, so in this child component, I have added this as my title. So I am passing title as a prop here. So for now it's hello COVID, and so according to my definition according to the things that I explained and the order, so this is only mounting part now. I haven't done any updation here. So in this class, let's change this title, because this title inside this child class is the title which I got from props. That means this one. So I will comment this line and return title as by COVID for now. So, and let's see here, can you see? So now the title will be by COVID for now. So that means, so it's very much essential you to understand the life cycle methods and when these will be called and what to return and those kind of things. And so that's about the mounting part, and let's move to the theoretical part of updating part here. So like that, when you are performing any state change or any props change, or sometimes you would be able to force update some components as well. So in the updating phase, so this is the order. It will directly call from get derived state from props function, and it will go to the should component update. This function will determine whether you need to update your component in the DOM. So if your logic tells that you don't need, then it will stop from here, and only if this accepts, then you will be going to the render function. And but if you use force update, this thing wouldn't be considered. Directly you will proceed to render and then the next steps. And here, so once your update is accepted from should component update, this will go to the render function, and then this will be go to the a pre-commit phase. You can read the DOM and you can have a snapshot after updating the component in the DOM, and then you will sorry, just before the updating of your component to the DOM. So this is where this is the function you could have, and after you update the DOM, so then you will find the component did update function. So here also you can run your side effects like I explained earlier. And there's one thing that you could remember. So if you use this method, definitely you could use this component did update method as well in your component. You can't have only one function at a time in the component. So let's go and see what happened here. I will clear this and I will increment this by 1. So can you all see the parent initially called this get derived state from props function, then the should component update, and then the parent class will render the change. So now the state, the count is 1, and then likewise as previously, so the child class has started their renderings in the order. So this now this child class has stopped from should component update. Let's see why is that. Here there must be a return type whether a true or false. So I have added false as the return. So then if you return false, then that's why my methods have been stopped from should component update, as I explained you earlier in that slide. So let's change this to true and see. I will clear the initial console logs. Can you see? Now the child class has rendered executed the next functions as well. And also the other thing that I wanted to show, I mentioned that this get snapshot before update function wouldn't exist without this component did update function. This one wouldn't exist without this. So I will comment out this one. Sorry, this must be here. If you use this get snapshot before function, then definitely you have to implement your component data update function as well. So if I remove this comment, then again this will be executed nicely. Okay, now let's move on to the next part, which is actually the things that I explained is also defined here. So a component will update only if you change your states or props, and I have already explained that in the diagram as well, and the order is like this. And let's see how the unmounting occurs. So the unmounting part is where you remove your components from the DOM. So the component will unmount function will call right before is about to remove your component from the DOM. So let's see that also in a practical manner. So I have maintained a boolean value. The state is show header. So the show header state is initially it's true, defined inside this constructor function, and once I click this button unmount or mount button, so it will negate the value. It will negate the value. So that means in these lines, so considering the boolean value of this state, so it will have either child component or this empty due into this variable, and it will be deployed here inside the return function. So that means as these are two different components, this is a custom component and this is a due predefined. So then that means my component will be removed from the DOM. Let's see how this will happen. So as I am updating a state, so definitely my updating phase also will be triggered here. And can you see the child class has called the component will unmount function here. So that's how these life cycles work. So that's all I wanted to show on the class-based components. If you are good at if you understood well, so then I will move to the next part, which is the class-based components versus functional components comparison. So the class-based components uses properties and states, and you can write your business logic there using those lifecycle hook methods. So that's the main thing that you can't find inside the functional components. You will you will in the props to the functional component, and you will output your JavaScript XML, and it's some kind of only a view part. So but what the React hooks does here is, so React hooks replaces the class only functionalities in the functional components. So let's see. So another thing that you have to understand is, so the things that I mentioned in the lifecycle hooks is not similar to the React hooks. They are two different things. The lifecycle hooks, lifecycle methods is one thing, and the React hooks is another thing. And React hooks has been introduced in the version of 16.8 and later, and you have to use this only inside your functional components, and you can use these hooks to manage in your state and side effects like HTTP request and more. And also you can create your own custom hooks as well. I have created that one or two hooks as well, so I will explain in the next practical. And the hooks are actually JavaScript functions that which can only be used inside functional components or other hooks. You can't use it anywhere else, only inside the functional components or other hooks. And as an example, let's say we have use state, use effect, and use memo like that hooks. So the naming is starting like this use, and so you can have your XYZ as your custom hook name, or the predefined hooks like use effect, use memo like that. And you can use hooks very independently, and it's much high reusable. And yeah, that's simple things about the React hooks. And let's move to the rules. So there are some rules you have to consider whenever you use React hooks. So React hooks must be called in the top level. You can't use React hooks in the inside the loops or the conditions or the nested functions. And it must be inside only React components, functional components, and inside the custom hooks. And now let's go and see how could I able to replace these lifecycle methods using the React hooks. So my React version is 16.13.1, so that means I am above 16.8, which I described in the slide. So I have implemented the same functionality using two functional components. So this is my parent component, and this is my child component. So I have used use effect hook, and as well as use state hook here. I will simply explain what's use state hook. So you can destruct the return value of your state in this array like this. You can define your state here as the first argument in the array, and you can define the function whenever you need to change this state. So initially I have added these things using useState hook, and the count is 0, the show header value is true, and the title is hello child. Likewise, very similar, identical to this part. And let's see how this works. Can you see? So this also works like that way I described. So initially the children will be called, and then finally the parent class will be finishing the rendering. And here, so you will be confused why I use this component did mount log here. So I will explain it here. Here there's another hook called useEffect, where you can have an array as a second argument here, and you can implement your logic here, and sometimes this array could be a empty value also. So using the useEffect like this, by using an empty array as the second argument, you will be able to achieve the component did mount functionality like in the lifecycle hook. So here I will again refresh this, so and increment it by 1. So can you see it only called at once in each class. So other than that, nothing happened here. And that's how the component did mount class function has been replaced using useEffect. And if you are not using an array or empty, either if you are not using an empty array at least, so this will be called in each and every render. So we'll see functional parent render here. It will be called every time when you do any change here. We'll show it again. Can you see? It will render again and again. So the next one I want to show is you can have values inside this array, and I have included count as my variable in the array. So that means this effect will observe and subscribe to the value of the count, and whenever this value is changing, so this function will be calling. Can you see I have printed my count here inside the useEffect. I will use. Can you see it listen to this count value and it will be called like this. Okay, that's about the useState and useEffect, and how this component did mount and the render function and the things achieved using useEffect. And let's see how you could achieve the component will mount method using useEffects. So I have used the useEffect like this, using an empty array and using an return keyword here like this, and you can code implement your logic here. So as like earlier, now we shall unmount the things. So can you see now, as like the previous example, I am removing my child from the DOM. So the component will mount function has been called. Here I have used this use effect like this, and it will be called like this. So I will, it's okay. Can you see only once it has been occurred here? Only if you remove your child component. So that's how use effect works, and then I will explain you about another one. So here can you see this variable memoist header? So currently it is null. So it won't render anything to the DOM. So it's arranged after the my functional child component. Nothing is there. So I will comment this out and use the line 63. So this moist functional component is identical to this functional child component. So I use the same code here to this, and let's see what happened when I use here. And so in each and every rendering, so this will console log this and the title in both the functional components. Only thing different is their components name. So let's see what happened. Can you see now both the classes components have been called for anything I change. If I unmount also, so the same thing happen. And okay, now so the worst thing is here happening is, so initially it sets this title to the functional component here. So the title I have set, the default value is hello child. So in the initial rendering also it passes this hello child into the both the components, but in each and every updation or anything also it passes the same value. So that means the same value will be returned to this, to return to both of these functions. That means it's a kind of a unwasted re-rendering, because the same string will be used in every re-render. So what if I say that if we could memorize this title value and stop the unwanted re-rendering here? So for that I could use this React use memo hook. So this is also some pretty much similar thing happen here. So I have included title as my variable, so this will listen to this title value. Whenever the title value is changed here, it will call this. It will not call always, because it will memorize this titles value. So let's see what happens now. Can you see only the functional child render title is calling in each and every time. So I will remove this again and show you. Can you see? In each and every parent again, this has been called. So now using use memo, I have achieved not to call, not to render this component whenever my title variable is not a different value from the previous value. So this is where this is actually what should component update function does in this class-based child component, where I used this true and false to stop the next steps. So these are few simple things that I could show you, that all the class-based lifecycle methods, most of the class-based lifecycle hook methods has been replaced using React hooks. And yeah, that's all about these basic things. And I will show you my two of my custom hooks as well. So you could use custom hooks as well. So I have created two. So first one is I will like that I am using a use effect here. So I will update my title of the document in the tab, and whenever my window width will be lesser than 600 pixels, so I will resize my window. So let's see how I could achieve this. So I have used this. I will remove this. So here I have called this use document hook here. I have imported it from my hooks package, and initially this variable has value you clicked count. This is a variable time. So let's see what happened. So this is not the number of counts I click, but this is the value where counter shows. Can you all see? This will be changed. Now it is 3. So I created this custom hook to change that. So likewise you could use your custom hooks as well inside your. Then I will use my next hook which is use window width. I will console the boolean value whether this is on small screen or not. I will change this to 600. So now the screen is greater than screen's width is greater than 600. That means the on small screen is false. So let's see what happens. Can you see? This has been changed and the hooks has been called there. So whenever again I expand this, so now it's 680. Now it's false, and whenever I reduce again, it has changed. Okay, so that's all for me to show for the today's session, and I hope you will get understand about the class-based functions components, and the functional components and the lifecycle methods as well. So if you have any questions now, raise here, or if you had any unclear things on my practicals, you can ask to clear those areas.